Okay, now we looked at fractions, decimals and percentages before, converting between the three and finding fraction parts and percentage parts. A big thing that's coming to level 2 now since September is percentage increase and decrease. And people are getting stuck. So we're going to look at that. So you would have a question like, okay, something like that, excuse my back for a while. Last year a caravan cost £500 a week to rent. This year it costs £530 a week. What is the percentage increase from last year? Okay, so we take the new price, 530. We take away the old price, which is 500. That'll give us 30, which we then divide by the old price, which is 500. And then we just have a look. 30 divided by 500, 0.06, 0.06. And we times that by 100, times 100. Remember from the percentages video, timesing by 100 when it's a decimal is easy. Move the decimal point twice, it ends up there as a whole number, 6%. And that's percentage increase. Quite simple. You take the new price, you subtract the old price, which will give you that. You divide that by the old price. Now, this is important. That looks wrong, because what you're actually doing is this. And again, the larger number would normally be inside the box, but this is correct. It looks wrong, but it isn't. You divide 30 by 500, you get 0.06. You've got to multiply that by 100 to get your percentage. So, move it twice, and you get 6%. Now, 10% of 500 is 50. So you know that that must be somewhere in the right area. If 10% is 50, stands a chance 6% is going to be about 30. So it's like a mental check before you carry on with your next question. And if your mental check tells you, I'm about right, that must be about right, because 10% would be 50, I've got 6% as 30, I've got to be somewhere near. That gives you so much confidence knowing that you've probably got that one right before you carry on to the next question. Just by a quick bit of mental maths. Now then, it can work the other way. Let me get rid of this and we'll change a couple of figures around. if we change that 500 and the 530, we change that to 530 and that to 500, this year it's gone down. So the question would be, what's the percentage decrease? Now, here's a tip. The maths purists will tell you that there's a different formula to use for percentage decrease compared to percentage increase. It's bad enough having to learn one formula without having to learn two. So here's a tip. Use the same way as you did for the increase. I'll show you why. We've now got the new price minus the old price. But that's going to give us minus 30. So we're already in a decrease. We're already in a negative number. So if it's a negative number, a minus, that must mean it's going to be a decrease. So you can work it out exactly the same way now. Minus 30 divided by the old price, which is 530. That will give you 0.056 divided by 100. Multiplied by 100. Move the decimal point twice, just like you did before, and you've got 5.6%, but it isn't 5.6%. It's minus 5.6%. So the percentage decrease is 5.6%, and you've worked it out the same way as you did for the increase, without having to use a different formula. And that's great in maths. The fewer formula you have to remember, the better. So instead of having to remember two, you've only got to remember one, and that one is new price minus old price divided by old price times 100 and that will give you, if it's a minus figure, it's a decrease. If it's a plus figure, it's an increase. Simple as. So just use the same one. You don't need to use two different ones. And that's my tip of the day. Okay. I've noticed a question in the level 2 exam that looks like a decrease and increase percentage wise, but it isn't. It's slightly different, and it's catching people out because they think it's what we've just done, and it isn't. Let's have a look at it. Or something similar. There's the question, almost word for word. And I can do this because it's not going to be in your exam, because I've used it once and I'm not going to use it by the time you get to yours. So, a company makes a profit of £700,000. This is a 12% increase on the profit from last year. So how much profit did they make last year? The problem that people are finding is that they think this is easier than it is. They think that all they've got to do is find 12% of £700,000. That's not the question. That would be, what is 12% of £700,000? That's not the question. The question is, how much profit did they make last year if £700,000 profit this year is a 12% increase on last year? So, you take the £700,000 and you divide it by 100% for last year's profit plus 12%. 100%, that's all of last year's profit, plus a 12% increase for this year. So you're dividing by 112. And as we've done a few videos, I've got absolutely no idea what that is. So, divided by 112, 6250. 6250. Sorry, I went across and did that then without telling you what I was doing. So 6250 times 100, because it's percentage. All you've got to do there is add two notes on. So their profit last year, compared to this, 700,000, 625,000 last year. Let me just rewrite that to make a bit more sense. There we go. That makes more sense now. So, this year they made a profit of £700,000. Which is a 12% increase on last year. How much profit did they make last year? This year, 700,000. Divided by, and this is the problem people are getting. It's 100% for last year's profit, a figure that we don't know yet. So 100% of that, plus the 12% increase this year. So you divide by 112, and that'll give you £6,250. Times 100, because you're after a percentage, that'll give you £625,000. And if you work out 12% of that and add it on, you'll come to that. So, there is a slight difference between percentage increase and decrease and a question like this. Slight difference. Be careful. That's about all we need to do for fractions, percentages and decimals. We've converted, we've worked out fraction parts, we've worked out decimal parts, we've worked out percentage increase and decrease, and percentage profit and loss. So, next time we're going to look at angles, Cheers.